All right, so I'm going to do a news rundown. Things that are going on in the news that you probably are unaware of, unless you're like me and you just constantly researching and looking into things, news stories that the mainstream media is not talking about. This is coming from Zero Hedge. Scientists develop gelatinous robots to crawl through human body to deliver medical payloads and diagnose illness. So, for all of the people, let me say this right quick. For all of the people, especially during 2021, that said that we were all crazy conspiracy theorists for not wanting to take the pop shot, understand, regardless of what was actually in the pop shot, that's a whole nother story. It is a fact that they are developing under the skin health monitors and these health monitors are trackable. Okay? So this whole idea that we're crazy, that we're just crazy nut jobs, and this type of scientific research and development is not true, or it doesn't exist, that whole idea is being debunked by the very scientists that you cheerlead for, or that you admire and love so much and trust in so much. Okay? Their whole game plan is to, I'll just say it, chip you and monitor you and track and trace you. Now, this report from Zero Hedge says scientists have developed miniature gelatinous robots that can crawl through the human body to deliver medicine or diagnose illnesses. The GelBot is powered by little more than temperature changes. Isn't that interesting? They're always talking about climate change. But it says the GelBot, that's what it's called, is powered by little more than temperature changes, and its innovative design, which resembles an inchworm, is one of the most promising concepts in the field of soft robotics, according to Jill Rosen of Johns Hopkins University. Now, you can go to Zero Hedge, find that article, and click the link, and it will take you to Jill Rosen of Johns Hopkins University. This is not coming from a conspiracy theory website. This is coming from someone very prominent in Johns Hopkins University. And this is an actual quote here from David Gracias, a professor in the Department of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering at Johns Hopkins University, and a senior project leader, by the way. Says here, quote, "It seems very simplistic, but this is an object moving without batteries, without wiring, without an external power supply of any kind, just on the swelling and shrinking of gel." There you go. There you go. Back to this article here. It says the 3D printed robot, which is made out of gelatin, is intended to replace pills and intravenous injections, which could cause problematic side effects. Problem, reaction, solution. So now that they are admitting that there are problems with the pop shot, you know what I mean? Right? By the pop shot, the CV pop shot. They now have the solution, right? Because all of the information, well, not all of it, but a lot of the information with the pop shot and the problems, the issues that people are having with those pop shots that they took in 2021, you know, to go back to normal in order to reopen society, that's going to come out in the news. And I predict that it will come out in 2023. And they're going to throw Fauci and everybody else under the bus. But then they're going to come with the solution. And what is that? Well, this may be one of them. Right? The bot gel. Or the gel bot, the gel bot. A gelatinous robot that can crawl through the human body and deliver medical payloads and diagnose illnesses. The whole time we've been saying that this is what these people want to do. They want to put chips in you. But now they take it a step further, and then they have gelatinous robots that that they're going to put in you. And you think those bots aren't going to be trackable and traceable? That's what it's all about. It's all about track and trace, monitoring. They want to be God. They want to be able to see you at all times, know where you are at all times. It's not bad enough that you have your phone with you and they can get your exact location at every moment, at any moment. But no, they want to be able to track and trace you. Okay? So they're saying the gel bot may revolutionize medicine in the 21st century. And anyway, that's I think that's enough on that. Let me get this last little piece on this subject here. 2.5 years ago, researchers at Cornell University announced a project to develop tiny microscopic machines with legs that could move inside a patient to deliver drugs or assist with diagnosis, like the jailbot. So this is something they've been working on. Oh, none dare call it conspiracy, right? Oh, no, but I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm crazy, right? Oh, I'm just crazy. You know, just making up stuff, pulling shit out of my ass. Excuse my language. I'm telling you they want to chip you, and they take it a step further and say, yeah, not only do we want to place a chip inside of you, but we want a robot that can go inside of you and deliver medicine. Isn't that something? They're taking it, and this is coming from Johns Hopkins University and Cornell University. This isn't Alex Jones talking about this. Are you kidding me? These people are openly admitting that they have developed technology to track and trace you and monitor your every movement. And what are we going to find ourselves in the next 10 years? We're going to be in a world where you will be chipped and monitored, period. Your chip inside of you will be a QR code, and if you do not comply with your government, wherever your government may be, because this is a worldwide event. This is worldwide. If you do not comply with your government, who the government is nothing but a in-between, a bridge between you and the powers that be that are over top of your government, that rule over your government. If you do not comply, they can turn your chip off, your money, your everything, your access to public transportation, your access to your car, right? Because, believe me, your car will be digital as well. Don't get it twisted. Your car will be digital, digitalized. And people are so stupid, they'll listen to me and say, well, it's already like that. What are you talking about, dude? It's already like that. No, you don't understand what I'm saying. I don't mean, you're going to have the conveniences of being able to, get in your car and say radio on, and then it turns on the radio. Or automatic Google mapping. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there's going to come a point where you won't be able to get in your car that you paid for, because you did not comply with a climate change mandate. Because when they roll out, now, damn it, I'm going over my time again. When they roll out these climate change mandates, carbon footprint, you won't be able to just move around nilly-dilly. You're going to have a certain amount of allotted mileage. And if you use up that mileage within a week, if you try to, let's say they chipped you and you try to use your chip to enter your car, because that's what you're going to need to open your car door and turn your car on. They can just press a button, or your car will automatically shut down and say, no, you've used all of your mileage for this week. Dystopian as that may sound, that is the reality that we're fast tracking and moving towards. You don't have to believe me, but this is the reality. If you want a clear sign of a collapsed society, this is one of them. From the Gateway Pundit, a cross-dressing man arrested for photographing a woman in a Texas bathroom, threatening witness with a pepper ball gun. Cross-dressing man arrested for photographing a woman in a Texas bathroom. Again, it's coming from the Gateway Pundit. It says a cross-dressing man has been arrested for allegedly photographing at least one woman in a Texas mall bathroom and threatening a witness with a pepper gun. Douglas Egan, 45 years old, was caught taking photos of the victim with the cell phone under a stall. Said the incident occurred on Christmas Eve, around 4:30 p.m. at Hewlin Mall in Fort Worth. Says when the woman noticed the camera and confronted him, he attempted to flee the scene. Says the victim described Egan to police as a male that was dressed to look like a female. Another person witnessed the confrontation and attempted to intervene, but the suspect allegedly reached into his backpack and pulled out what appeared to be a handgun, then pointed at the male witness. That's what Fox News reports. This is once again a clear sign of the times that we're living in. You will not hear this in mainstream news media. You will not hear this. You know why? Because they have an agenda, and that's to flip everything upside down. When you support this is what happens. And you know what I mean by this, right? When you support this, males going into female bathrooms, this is what happens. What did people think? This is the thing that irks me. What the hell did people think would happen when you had these politicians and these mainstream media talking heads advocating trans men turned to women being, and not just that, men that identify themselves as women being allowed to go into women's bathrooms? What did you think would happen? Just because they identify themselves, just because a man identifies himself as a woman, doesn't mean he's not going to do shit like this. Excuse me. This world has gone absolutely, especially the United States of America. The United States of America has gone absolutely batshit crazy. There have been numerous reports mainly over the past 2 years, of men identifying as women. Some not even doing the whole transitional thing. Some of them are just straight up men that have decided on that day that they want to be identified as a woman and walk right into women's bathrooms with little girls in there. Can you imagine? And I don't have a daughter, but if I did, I'm telling you right now, World War III. If I have some grown-ass man walking into a woman's bathroom talking about he feels like he's a woman today, it will be World War fucking III. Unbelievable. And this goes into, and I'm not going to harp on this, but this also goes into the whole, how do I say this? Women can do anything that men can do thing. So now what that does is that creates a society where men are less likely, that's not even a word I want to use, men are less likely to protect women as they should, but that's what they're supposed to do, because women are now trying to be men or like men in some ways, in certain ways. So what that does is that takes away their femininity, if that's the word, right? The feminine energy. That's why you see men not opening the door they don't open the door for women when they, you open the door for a woman now, she might say sexual harassment. So men are like, you know what? I'm just going to back off. There was a video of a man, I believe it was in New York. It was on a New York subway, a New York subway train. A man walked up to a woman, snatched her by her goddamn hair, snatched her by her hair. You hear me? Snatched her by her hair and just held her hair. And she was screaming for help. Some random dude that she didn't know. It wasn't like it was a boyfriend or husband. And that would have been bad enough. But this was some random dude just walked up to her, grabbed her by her hair. And she was screaming for help. And you know what the people did? The train was loaded with people. Men. Grown-ass men. You know what they did? They just stood there and watched. You know why? Because they don't want to get involved. Because they have told women that they don't need men. And that leaves them vulnerable for rapists. Okay? And violent attacks on them. Because men are just like, and then let's not ignore the elephant in the room that most men nowadays are just flat out pussified soy boy little bitches. Period. Most men nowadays are just flat out, I don't know if it's the chemicals and the water and the food. Pretty sure that has something to do with it. It's the programming on television. But most men are pussies. Little punk bitches. Carrying man purses. And twitching more than actual females do. Little punk bitches. If you didn't like when I said it the first 2 times, I'll say it again. Little punk bitches. Pussies. Little soy boys. Carrying man purses. Even the so-called gangsters. So now the women are left to fend for themselves. This world has gone to hell. And the United States of America is at the forefront of that. And I went on longer than I wanted to. But anyway, that's just one story. But there's many like that and these stories are not being covered because they have an agenda to soften the male, soften the men. And what does that do? That makes them less likely to fight. Why? Because when they come in with their New World Order, they don't want challenges. That's why they want to get rid of the guns. That's why every time there's a shooting, a mass shooting, they splatter it all over the news. Get rid of guns, the people no longer have the ability to protect themselves and defend themselves from a tyrannical government. Don't believe me? Ask Australia. They turned in their guns, I believe, in the early 2000s. Sometime in the 2000s, I believe. The citizens did. And then when the pandemic kicked off in 2020, the police just walked around throwing people up against the wall. Then they can't really, they can, but they're less likely to do it in the United States of America. Why? Because we have something called the right to bear arms. So they're a little less, not saying they won't do it, because they still do, but they're not as quick to run up on an individual and do that sort of thing. But this is a complete breakdown of society. All right, so the globalists are back at it again. They have completed another exercise, another pandemic exercise. This one's called catastrophic contagion. And the last time they had an exercise like this was Event 201 back in 2019, October. I believe it was October 2019, where they pretty much foretold the pandemic to be, which was in 2020. And I'm not going to go full blast because I'm trying to stay on air. But what I will say is this. This exercise is very, very similar to Event 201. Okay? And this is from Reuters. It says here, the catastrophic contagion, that was the name of the exercise. Catastrophic contagion was an event conducted on October 23rd, 2022 in Belgium by the John Hopkins Center for Health Security, the World Health Organization, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And it would, you had Bill and Melinda Gates and their foundation, and you had 10 current and former health ministers and senior public health officials from Senegal, Rwanda, Nigeria, Angola, Liberia, Singapore, India, Germany, so on and so on. But they took part in this simulated WHO Emergency Health Advisory Board meeting set in 2025, the year 2025. Keep that in mind. Keep that in your memory bank. If you see another situation such as 2020 and 2025, you know that they foretold this again. But the meeting is set in 2025 to address a fictional infectious disease called severe epidemic enterovirus respiratory syndrome 2025, and it's called SEERS. That's the acronym, SEERS. Said it became a pandemic with a higher fatality rate than COVID. And it said it affects children and young people. Again, I am reporting this so that you can go look at this for yourself. This is from Reuters. This isn't from InfoWars. Okay? This isn't from a right-wing conspiracy website. Because I know you people, a lot of people have a problem with that. So anyways, understand that the last time that they had an exercise on this level, at this level, it was Event 201. Right before the pandemic hit. And they ran a pandemic scenario during that Event 201 exercise. Why do they do that? Their cover story is always, well, they're trying to be prepared. But I, myself, and people that are in the know understand what they're really doing. We understand what they're really doing. They are telling these other They're telling the world leaders what to do when they roll out the real thing. It's an exercise. It's just like in the military, being former military, I understand that we would run these real world exercises. Okay? The difference is that these people, and you know what I mean when I say these people. If you don't know, you don't know. But I'm going to try to believe that there's a lot of people that are listening to me right now that know who I'm talking about when I say these people. They have a track record for conducting these sorts of exercises, and then somehow, some way, coincidentally, conveniently, in some cases, all of a sudden, the real thing happens. It's not like they run these exercises and then 20 years later, the real thing happens. No, they run these exercises and then shortly thereafter, it happens. Just like in September of 2001, that day, you know what day I'm talking about? They were running drills on that day. Okay? So understand, if they're running this exercise, a pandemic exercise for 2025, and they're saying that there's, in this exercise, this fictional exercise, that this disease called SEERS affects children and young people. Understand that this is what the future looks like. Okay, I'm trying to dance around it. I'm trying my best, because I know right now we live in a world where everything you say, you get censored really heavily. And because I'm on Spotify mainly, and any other platform, even Google Podcasts or even Apple Podcasts or whatever, they will take your stuff down. Okay, so if you're wondering why I'm not just saying it, because you know what I'm getting at. I'm trying to be careful here. And this is a very touchy subject. As a matter of fact, Reuters put out a fact check. They made a straw man argument, and not to go too much into it, but they said that the video is fictional. It does not support claims about pandemic preparedness exercises, which people know that the video itself is fictional. We know that it was just an exercise and that it was fictional. So that's a straw man argument. But what people that are in the know, that are trying to expose what these diabolical New World Order scumbags are trying to do, what the people that are exposing them are bringing out is that this is very similar to Event 201. How many coincidences do you need before it's no longer a coincidence? And they're able to pull this kind of crap off because people are unaware. People have no idea that they're running these type of exercises and what these exercises are really about and why they're running them. That's the most important part. They don't know why they're running these sorts of exercises. They're not running them just to be prepared. They're running them because they plan on making these real world situations. they plan. This is something to come in the future. It may not be 2025. We don't know. And another thing, just right quick to help you understand, I speak about the data a lot because what they do is they gather data and the powers that be collect data, and what they'll do with that data is they will look to see how many people are awake and how many people are still asleep. How many people are paying attention to what they're doing. And if they see that they have enough people that are still asleep and are not paying attention, that's when they run out or they move forward with their actual game plan. Why don't you hear about this exercise in the news? You hear about everything else. This is why I keep telling people politics is a distraction. Trump is the ultimate distraction. 24/7, 365, constant news coverage on Trump. It's all a distraction. While they're distracting you with that, Donald Trump and his taxes, Donald Trump and the January the 6th committee, while they're distracting you with that, they're running exercises for the next pandemic. While you're at home watching sports or celebrating the holidays, these people are game planning on how they're going to take over the world, as if they haven't done it already. But that's not enough. What they really want is the whole entire world under one government. They don't want sovereign nations, secure borders. They don't want that. What you would call individual freedoms is, is whatever, as if there's really a such thing, but whatever. Let's pretend like there is, right? They don't want that. What they want is complete control, one government. So what in order to achieve that, what do they have to do? They have to collapse all the governments. All the sovereign nations have to be destroyed, collapsed. They're collapsing the United States right in front of your eyes. You don't see it because they're not covering it in the news. They're not telling you what's going on at the border. You don't see it in the news unless you're watching Fox or some right-wing alternative. And that's not to big them up either. Trust me, I'm far from a Republican. I tell you right now, I'm an independent. I'll cuss Trump's ass out just as quick as anybody else. So don't get me twisted. I'm telling you that this is a strategy. They're wargaming. And they're prepared while you're asleep. They're purposely collapsing the economy and not telling people just how bad it really is. While they're working their heart programs to, man, don't even get me started with the weather manipulation and everything else. They're doing it all at once. So, anyway, this is very, very scary stuff here. And I want to say something else before I forget. one of the scenarios, I guess you can say, that I rolled out in my own mind was that the CV-19, the CV-19, I'm speaking in code, but the CV was not as potent, I'll put it like that, as the next virus will be. And that may have been intentional. And the reason why they may have done it that way is so that when they roll out the next disease, that people won't take it as serious. Because they'll say, oh yeah, we heard this before. We've seen this before. They did the same thing with the CV. So we're not tripping off of it. And then that will be the actual virus, the actual deadly virus. These are just things to think about. There is an ongoing depopulation program that is very much at the top of their list. Is at the top of the list of the powers that be. These people, let me explain in short, because I've went on too long already. I always say I'm going to keep it under 10 minutes and then I go over. The powers that be, the elites, so-called elites, right? They made themselves the elites. They call themselves the elites. They are science freaks. Okay, they're not religious by no means. You have to understand their psychology, understand their mind state, the way that they think. The powers that be, the people that are in power right now at the very top, they're into science in a way that you would not believe. In their science, their version of science, mankind is destroying the earth. Right? That's their thinking. The only way to protect the earth, man has to go. $8 billion people in their mind, 8 billion people is too many people. They believe that in order to protect what they call Mother Earth, you must deplete, you must depopulate billions of people in order to protect the earth. This is their science. This is what they really mean when they tell you to follow the science. You heard that all through 2020 in the pandemic. Follow the science. What science were they talking about? They weren't talking about the science that you think they were talking about. Trust me. This is not something that I made up. You have to go do research in order to understand it. I'm just relaying it. I'm telling you. And most of them are Satanists. Okay? They're not going to tell you that, but they do tell you through their symbolism. And if you don't study their symbolism and understand the occult and understand the way the occult speak in code, then you don't really understand what's going on here. You won't understand their lingo, their language, and how they're able to speak over your heads. Because most of the time they're not speaking to you, they're speaking over you, over your head. And they're communicating back and forth to one another. They're not talking to you. I'll give you an example. Whenever you hear these left-wing talking points, talking heads, let's say like a Joy Reid or Rachel Maddow or a Don Lemon, whenever you hear them say, or let's say even the politicians like Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, whenever you hear them say we must do what is necessary to protect our democracy, they're not talking about you. You're not included in their democracy. What they're saying is they must do whatever it takes to protect their rulers, their masters, the people that rule over them, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. That's what they're talking about. But they say it in a way where you, if you're not in the know, you would think that they're talking about the United States of America. We must protect our democracy. They're not talking about you. They're not talking about the United States of America. They're talking about protecting the ruling class. You understand? You have to listen to what they're saying. And you know, you would have to do your own research and study to get the significance and the meaning behind the words that they're using. That being said, this catastrophic contagion exercise that they ran is very significant. It's scheduled for 2025. Why is that important? Well, we're going to have a new president in 2025. More than likely, because unless they keep Joe Biden in there. If the powers that be, if the powers that be decide to keep Joe Biden in there, I would be shocked, because he was nothing but a puppet president that they threw in there just to be the guy to take the blame for all of the BS that they wanted to get through. And that's something that they do a lot. They'll throw a puppet in there that they can control, somebody that's easily controllable through blackmail, and somebody that's completely compromised. The more compromised, the better for them, right? Somebody that has a lot of dirt on them, they can get a lot of orders, executive orders, and things passed. Even through through Congress, same thing. You say, well, why did they vote on this? It's because they're all compromised. They're all blackmailed. If Jeffrey Epstein didn't teach you anything else, it should be that. His whole job was to blackmail high-ranking officials and even celebrities, people that weren't even politicians, just celebrities. What he does is he blackmailed them. Well, you think Jeffrey Epstein was the only person that had that type of operation? No. Hell no. So just understand that these times that we're living in right now, this is like the calm before the storm. Just because things don't happen right away, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. This is the time for you to laugh at me, to mock me, to scoff at me, to say that I'm crazy. This is that time period. Soon you won't be able to do that.